up guys, Wavy from Zord, and today I finally have my Power Rangers 2016 project to show you guys. This thing has been in the works since like December 2015, and I know you're thinking that is a long time, and that is true. I had to wait for a lot of things, and I'll get into it when I actually show the figures. Also today I'm going for more of a natural lighting setup, just because I realize I can't bring my lights over here anymore because my outlet is full, and so we're going to try this for a bit, and then if I need to I'll figure out some other kind of lighting setup. So if it looks a little more unprofessional than usual, that's probably why. But yeah, I had to wait for everyone to send in their different parts, and it's mostly waiting for the Yellow Ranger, which I will talk about when I get to that section in specific. But I'm finally happy to finally have the entire thing done and have all of the characters, and all the figures I wanted here to finally show you guys for the final showcase. So without further ado, let's get into it. So first up, I don't have just Power Rangers, I have a couple extra characters, and we have Zord on here. Now, my friend Customs made this, and first of all, I want to tell you guys why I did this project, because you're probably wondering why I didn't just make all the Power Rangers myself, and I kind of realized I didn't go over that in the intro. But the whole reason behind getting different people to make different Power Rangers and then putting them all together was I wanted to see everybody in the community's different styles. And I know I've had some people even ask me to do stuff for a project where they do similar things, but I'm pretty sure I started it because when I was talking about this back in 2015, 16, whenever, I know I was always talking about it, how I wanted to see other people's styles in the community, and that's why I didn't just make all the Power Rangers. That's why I made the Red Ranger, and I outsourced the other ones. So, just so you know, that's why it's a collaborative project and not just a regular project that took so long. I just wanted to see how everyone else did, and that's basically it. So anyway, the Zord on here was made by my friend Customs after the first Power Rangers trailer came out. He bought all of these studs off of Bricklink and glued them onto a plate, and then built the face out of studs and I think hot glue for some of the parts. And I will admit, some of the parts are a little rough around the edges, like the more solid parts that he did with hot glue and stuff. But I'm really actually happy with how all of the red on the studs turned out, and he painted those, and yeah, and he's got the face there and everything, and I think it's a really cool backdrop to these figures. So I want to give a thank you to him. He doesn't customize anymore, but Customs. And you can't have Zordon without Alpha, and this figure was made by my friend Ian, or Phantom Figs. He made the Alpha 5. I won't show the back because he didn't actually paint it, but yeah, I commissioned him to do this, and I was actually surprised by how it turned out. It turned out way better than I thought it was going to. I really like the way he sculpted the head so that the exposed kind of like neck, I don't know what to call it, but like the neck piece that the head connects to is actually the neck for Alpha, his long neck. So I was like, that looks really interesting. And then he has these longer sculpted arms here, and I love the chainmail almost pattern sculpted into the stomach. And then for the legs, he sculpted on 2 studs because Alpha does have shorter legs. I was really happy with how this figure turned out, and I'm really happy with how the all the red and black details look. And on the helmet, I really like how the eyes, like the whites of the eyes, turned out too. So I'm actually really happy with how this figure turned out. So yeah, that was made by my friend Ian, or Phantom Figs. Last of the non-Ranger figures here is Rita Repulsa, and I have to give a thanks to Caleb Customs on Instagram and Flickr for making this figure for me. This was one I was not planning on making, but while I was waiting for the Yellow Ranger to be made, Caleb wanted to do a trade, and this popped in my head as a figure, and I'm really happy with the result. I'm pretty sure he used a yellow head as a base, and then painted the skin tone on top, and I really love the kind of smile that he gave Rita here, and I love the sculpted hair piece that he did. And then the rest, everything is painted, and the rope around her neck and around the side are actually like some like chicken wire or something, and I love the way he did that too. So it's actually like a separate piece. Like if I were to take the head off, I could take it off like a neck piece, really. And it's really cool how it looks, and all the painting looks really good for her destroyed Green Ranger suit, and the sculpting for the shoulder pad. Everything just looks really good on this figure, so thanks to Caleb for that. And now we can finally move into the Rangers. I think we can start off with the leader himself, Red Ranger, Jason. This is the one I made because, like I said, this project was supposed to so I can show the different styles, painting styles almost, in tackling a figure, especially one as complicated as the new Power Ranger suits, between each customizer. So when I do the outro, I'll show the comparison between all of them. But yeah, I really love how all of them turned out, and to see all the different styles. And this is how I did it. So my plan was to paint metallic blue for all of the space purpley bits. So they all have the diamond in the middle, which is like, in most of the pictures it just looks like a portal to space, and then they have these like lines all around them that are like these glowing lines. So I just wanted to do metallic blue for all of those lines. I'm really happy actually with how it all turned out. I wasn't sure how I was going to tackle it at the start of making this figure, especially with all like the red lines and stuff on the arms for the shoulder pads and such, and for the back. The back was really hard to find a reference for, but I'm glad I finally did. And then I sculpted the helmet, which was really fun to do, sculpting in layers. And I know it's a little uneven, as you can see. This side is thicker than this side, but I wasn't that great of a sculptor back then. I still really am not. But yeah, and this was inspired a lot by Daniel De La Fuente's version over on Instagram. At least the helmet sculpt, his helmet sculpt helped me figure out how I was gonna do mine. But yeah, that's my Red Ranger figure. And now we'll move into the first Power Ranger that I received from my friends. So the first Ranger that I received was Zack, aka the Black Ranger, and this one was made by my friend Lukas Customs, who also made the Zord. Again, he doesn't really exist anymore. He doesn't make customs anymore. So these were actually some of his last figures that he made. So he definitely went for the minimalist design, which I really enjoy. I really like how he did the torso. I used a lot of gloss paint, so it does shine a lot. But I like the way he sculpted the chest pattern, so as to leave an indent for where the diamond and the two side blue parts go. He also used metallic blue for the spacey kind of bits all around, which I really like. He also opted to sculpt onto the legs, which not many others did, and then just painting some basic gloss black boots. And then he did also sculpt on some of the back shoulder pads as details there, and he also sculpted the visor on top, which I really liked, because that's actually something nobody else did. So yeah, thanks to Blink, and that was the Black Ranger. The next one I received was the Pink Ranger, aka Kimberly, and this one was made by my friend Sean, Daring Customs, or I guess now Daring.jpg over on Instagram and Flickr. So this was also one of his last figures. He still does customize, but very rarely. And I mean, I really like it. This is probably one of the more closer ones to my style of how I did it. He opted to sculpt the chest onto this figure, seeing as it was one of the female Rangers, and then opted for his he's also sculpted like the little diamond there, and he made it way smaller than I think most people did, which was interesting. Just like me, he did sculpt the helmet on top there, and the back was a similar bit of a design, and he also sculpted shoulder pads. And instead of opting for the metallic blue for all the little bits and lines everywhere, he did just black lines, and they are really clean lines, I do have to say. That blew me away when I first saw it in person. And yeah, I guess not much to say. I do really like how he ended up doing the ab section with the circle in the middle, which I assume is for the morphing, or the morpher that goes on the front of their belt once they turn into the Power Rangers. And he just kind of stylized that into a circle, which I really like. So yeah, I'm actually really happy with how the Pink Ranger turned out. And now I can move on to the blue figure, or the Blue Ranger, so thank you so much to Sean, Daring Customs. So the Blue Ranger is courtesy of my friend Lucas, aka Lukas Customs on Flickr and Instagram. Again, he also doesn't make too many figures, so I guess, or more recently I haven't seen that he's posted too many, but anyway, first of all, I want to say I don't know what he used for a torso piece, because it's definitely not Lego. If I take the headpiece off, you can see, unless he sanded stud. But it feels shorter than a regular Lego torso, so he also might have sanded it to be shorter. I don't know, just something to me it feels shorter than a normal Lego torso. But anyway, he's a great sculptor, which is why I was really happy to enlist him as one of the people to make a Power Rangers, and I just love this helmet sculpt that he did. He did a more in-depth sculpt than any of us did, and then he just painted the black part for the mouth instead of doing silver and painting the mouth, which was interesting, and then he painted the matte black for the visor, and I just gotta say, like, I love the way this helmet sculpt came out. He also opted to sculpt the chest piece here and the shoulder pads on the sides, which is really interesting, and I really do like how this chest piece came out. And then he opted for more of a, like I said, with blinks, minimalistic design for the lines on the side and the ab part on the torso, as well as the lines on the legs and arms and back. But I really like how it turned out, because it definitely has one of the more in-depth sculpted helmets in terms of all of us. So yeah, that's it for the Blue Ranger, and now we can move on to the final one, and boy is it a doozy. Okay, before the segment starts, I just want to point out that I've been saying Power Rangers came out in 2016, when in reality it came out in 2017, and I just realized that. So it hasn't been 2 years, it's been about a year and a couple months, about a year and a half actually. So still quite a long time from when I was planning on getting this video release out, but yeah. Anyway, this is the reason the showcase took so long, was the Yellow Ranger. So originally, before the movie even came out, I was enlisting people so that I could get the figures in time to get the showcase up on time for the film. Clearly that didn't happen. And I had my friend Matthew, PCM.exe, pre-made custom minifigures, whatever you want to call them. He was going to make the Yellow Ranger, and then he lost motivation, lost the figure, had to restart, all this stuff, because he lacks a lot of motivation to make figures, and so it was already not going to be up on time by the time I had him making the figure. And I had already made the figure for his part of the trade, but we ended up calling the trade off, and didn't go through with it. So I still needed to find someone to do the Yellow Ranger, and it took me a while, but finally my friend Jason, JSparkySteel, he took on the mantle to make the Yellow Ranger, and I'm so grateful, because now I can finally get the showcase out. And so we were supposed to make our trade wait months before Brick Fair, but both of us just kept putting off the figures and putting off the stuff, and then it wasn't even until Brick Fair last week, or 2 weeks ago, that we ended up trading the figures, and his is probably the closest to mine in terms of style. If you look at the two, he just opted to sculpt the chest on his, as this was the female Ranger, but just like mine, he did opt to sculpt the helmet, and I'm really happy with how his helmet actually turned out. And then he opted to sculpt also shoulder pads and gauntlets on his figure as well. His is probably my favorite out of all of the figures. I love the way all the sculpting turned out. He also sculpted the giant diamond on her chest, which I thought was really cool. And I just love all the clean lines and how all the lines look, and especially all the silver, how that looks together, because he used silver and I opted to use a light gray color, which, looking at it, I do wish I kind of opted for a silver color. But yeah, I just gotta say, his is amazing, and I love how it turned out with all the sculpting and all the lines on it. And there was even a mishap, because when I first told him to make the figure, he made the original version Yellow Ranger from the the 90s TV show, and he's like, almost done, and then he sent me a picture of the yellow and white costume, and I was like, crap, that was a lack of communication on my part. I meant the Yellow Ranger from the movie, so he had to basically start from scratch all over again. But yeah, guys, this is it finally for the momentous Power Rangers showcase that I've been waiting for so long to do, and now it finally is done. And actually, I have one more surprise to show you before we wrap up the showcase. So down here I have the ruins of a giant Megazord build. So I had this crazy idea, and I couldn't build mocks at the time, and for the release I wanted a giant Megazord build to showcase all of my figures. And my boy Lukas Customs, who doesn't customize anymore either, God, what's with that, reached out to me, built this boy, and sent it over. Sadly, it got destroyed in the mail. I've tried to fix it numerous times and just can't. I can't figure it out. Some of the pieces just don't make sense. And I've kind of lost contact with him. So the torso, the legs, and the arms are fine, and the head was fine at one point. But since then, it has just fallen apart. The hip piece to connect the legs to the torso was the main issue, and he never really showed me how to get over that and build that. And it was awesome too, because just like the movie, I could fit all the figures inside, and it was just so cool. But sadly, the build was just not meant to be, and it has been destroyed. But I still wanted to shout out my boy Eth, because he did an amazing job when he sent me the pictures of the build and the articulation and everything, and it was just looked so good. It was just so too good to be true. And so I just had to point that out and not let its memory be forgotten for this showcase. So can I get an F in the chat for Megazord, please? Alright guys, and that's going to be it for this showcase. As you can see here, the final comparison between all five. I'll turn him a bit as to get the detail out of the light. And like I said, as you can see, mine, Jason, and Sean's are relatively similar. Though obviously there's some differences in style, but they're relatively similar compared to what Blink and Lukas did. But I just want to give a sincere thank you to everyone who collaborated for this showcase. I'll leave a link to everyone's stuff down in the description where you can go check all of them out. And yeah guys, that's going to be it for this showcase, so be sure to leave a like if you like this video, as well as subscribe if you haven't. I release new videos every Wednesday and Friday, so be sure to stick around for those, and be sure to suggest what figures you might want to see showcased, or what tutorials and other things you might want to see on Wednesday videos for a chance to get your channel shouted out in a video. Be sure to check out all my social media down in the description, where I get around to posting these figures way before I get around to making videos and posting them up on here. And yeah, so thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.